Hey everyone, it's me, CNP, and today we are back with another ASMR soft-spoken video. Now this video is going to be a little different. You guys know from time to time I like to do these face-to-face videos, and tonight's going to be one of those videos. I figured now would be a good time to come out with a video of my top 5 binge-worthy TV shows on Netflix. And I've been wanting to do something like this for a long time. And now with the current events going on, I figured would be the best time to do it. So we're going to be doing a soft-spoken voice for this video, which I rarely ever do, but I figured it would be more informal. Maybe that's not the right word, but so for this list I tried to keep them relatively recent. So there's a lot of shows that I would definitely recommend that I did not include on this list, which I included as honorable mentions, and I will go over those now. My list, by the way, is 5, my top 5 shows. I don't know if I said that already. So honorable mentions are The Office, of course, Breaking Bad, which we will get to that a little bit later, Parks and Rec, Sons of Anarchy, and I threw these two on here because I didn't really, the next two, I threw them on here as honorable mentions because they're not really TV shows, but they are worth a watch, and there are multiple episodes. They're both documentaries. Don't F with cats. I'm just gonna say F. They censor it in the title. And of course, the most recent one, Tiger King, which I started yesterday. That show, I'm 2 episodes in, so I wanted to put it as an honorable mention. This list, when I say binge-worthy, I mean like multiple seasons worth of great content. And I tried to keep this list as relevant as possible. All the shows on this list are currently going on live TV, or maybe they're Netflix originals, and they're currently being made, into multiple seasons. So it's none of these, except for the exception of one, have concluded. So without further hesitation, let's get into it. But before I do get into it, if you are a fan of ASMR and you're a fan of ASMR gaming, please check out the rest of my channel. We've been on a major come up lately, over 300 subscribers in the last 28 days. That's nuts. So big shout out to all you guys that are subscribing and liking and watching and viewing and all the good stuff. But let's get into it. So for my first video, this video is been around for a long time. This is the oldest, I think, on the list. Yeah, definitely the oldest on the list. It started a long time ago, and it's still going on. It's definitely lost a lot of its luster over the years, but I still think it's worth the watch, and I will get into that in a second, and that is The Walking Dead. So, The Walking Dead is, you guys have probably heard of it. It's been around for a long time. I don't remember when it started. 2010, and it's still going on. It's almost 10 years. I remember I started watching this show in high school, which seems like forever ago at this point. But it's about a man named Rick Grimes. And I know what you guys are thinking. A lot of people watch this show. This show was, the talk of the town a long time ago. And they had a season, I think it was season like 4 or 5, that was really, really slow. And it turned a lot of people off. I think a lot of people stopped watching it. And I myself included. And then one day I decided, you know what, I'm gonna power through it. I'm gonna see if there's. I think there was like 2 seasons that I had not seen on Netflix, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna power through this. I'm gonna get through this season, and hopefully maybe it gets good again. And I think it did. I honestly think it did. I think it's worth, if you can just get through that one slow season. I can't remember what season it is. It's like maybe 5, maybe 6, but a lot of people stopped watching it. But let's go over I'm gonna go over the summary of each of these 5 shows. So I'm going to do that now. So, Sheriff Deputy Rick Grimes gets shot and falls into a coma. When awoken, he finds himself in a zombie apocalypse. Not knowing what to do, he sets out to find his family. After he's done that, he gets connected to a group to become the leader. He takes charge and tries to help this group of people survive, find a place to live, get them food. This show's all about survival, the risks, and the things you'll have to do to survive. I'm on IMDb for the record for all of these. So Rick Grimes is played by Andrew Lincoln. Other people in this show, Norman Reedus, which you guys can't see, but there's a poster of Boondock Saints in the corner that I need to hang up, and he was in Boondock Saints forever ago. Melissa McBride, I believe is her name, plays Carol. Chandler Riggs, Carl Grimes. There's a ton of characters on this show. Matter of fact, in the last episode that aired on Sunday, King Batch, of all people, was in it. The comedian, the Viner, the YouTube guy, social media guy, King Batch. There's a comic that goes along with this show as well. I've never read. I'm not big into comics, but there is a comic book to go along with it. But mainly, I would recommend this show starting it from the beginning, first of all, because the beginning seems like forever ago. I kind of want to go back and watch all of the beginning seasons that I like, because there was a long gap in between. I stopped watching it for like a couple years. There was a long gap where I kind of had to piece together the information from the beginning seasons, but I would recommend it. Just got to get through that one season. It was quite the bore. I won't lie. But so that is number 5. Well, number 5. I don't want the poster to cover it up. But number 4, Better Call Saul. So this show is still currently going on. Remember when I gave Breaking Bad that honorable mention? Well, this is set in the same world, the same universe as Breaking Bad. It is a prequel all about Saul Goodman, aka Jimmy McGill, and his rise into the lawyer that he is today, or well, in Breaking Bad, basically. You go through his trials and tribulations, and it offers a unique insight. I remember when I was watching Breaking Bad, I was like, this guy is crazy. I don't feel bad for this guy at all. Like, he's annoying, he's terrible. But Better Call Saul gives you the backstory that he really, really needed. So I will read the plot summary now. This show started in 2015, and it's actually currently airing on AMC. Still, there's a new season going on right now, I believe. But introducing Jimmy McGill. You may know him better as Saul Goodman, Walter White's slippery, resourceful lawyer in Breaking Bad. When we first meet him, it's a few years before he meets Walter White. He's a struggling lawyer in Albuquerque, New Mexico. He mostly defends small-time crooks and represents people in civil liberty claims. His brother, Charles Chuck McGill, is a senior partner at a prestigious Albuquerque law firm, but hasn't left his house for several months due to a strange affliction. Jimmy is supporting him through bringing him groceries and the like. Jimmy has a dark, pre-lawyer past, being a small-time fraudster in Chicago before moving to Albuquerque to start over and work at his brother's firm. We also meet Mike Ehrmantraut, ex-cop now working as a toll booth attendant at the courthouse parking lot. We see how Jimmy and Mike's stories converge and how Jimmy slowly becomes the Saul Goodman we know him from Breaking Bad. So, this show is a prequel to Breaking Bad, and there is a ton of characters from Breaking Bad. Basically everyone except for Walter White and his family are in the show, and Jesse Pinkman. He is not in Saul Goodman, or Saul Goodman, Better Call Saul. The cast and crew includes Bob Odenkirk as Jimmy McGill, Saul Goodman. Any other notable? Jonathan, what's his name? Well, it won't let me click on his full name. Mike Ehrmantraut is the old bodyguard type guy. He plays a pretty big role. Gus Fring, Chuck McGill, Howard, Kim Wexler, Mike Ehrmantraut. Yeah, so all these people, well, some of these people were in Breaking Bad, and they're characters in Saul Goodman as well. Again, the show is currently airing on AMC. The new season is going on right now. You can watch them on AMC.com, or if you haven't seen it before, you can start at season 1, episode 1 on Netflix. I recommend it. It's very similar to Breaking Bad, just a different, instead of, following the story of making meth, they're following the story of, getting people out of jail, I guess. Getting people off the hook for crimes. But that is Better Call Saul. Third. Number three. I keep doing that. On this list is a show that, unfortunately, this is the one exception to the prerequisites that I set on the series, and that is that this show is, unfortunately, it got canceled due to Marvel and Netflix's little, clash that they had, because they pulled all their content off. Marvel is pulling all of their content off of Netflix, presumably to put it on Disney Plus in future months or years, but that is The Punisher. Now, this show, and you might recognize the main character, the Punisher himself. What is his name? Shoot, I'm drawing a blank right now. John Barenthal. There we go. This show made me a John Barenthal fan. I will forever watch anything that he is in from here on out. He absolutely murders, no pun intended, murders the role of the Punisher. So, I went into the show not knowing much about it. I'd never really been a Punisher fan growing up. I'd never, read anything about the Punisher. I just knew that he was, in the Marvel universe. I think the one thing that I knew about the Punisher was he was in that Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man PlayStation game. He played a little cameo back in the 90s. And I was like, oh, so that's the Punisher. And that was pretty much the only knowledge I knew of him. That's the only thing that I'd ever read or seen or heard of. So I didn't know what I was getting into going in. But plot summary is, after exacting revenge on those responsible for the death of his wife and children, Frank Castle uncovers a conspiracy that runs far deeper than New York's criminal underworld. Now known throughout the city as the Punisher, he must discover the truth about injustices that affect more than his family alone. So, basically, he was a Marine in the military. I think he was a Marine. And he was a part of a covert operation. And he was asked to do a lot of crazy bad things. I think they kind of went off the rails. They kind of went AWOL, I guess you could say. And anyways, they came back, and I guess he wanted out. He didn't want to go back. And for some reason, his family got killed. There was a hit on him and his family. And he survived, and the rest of his family did not. And this turned John Barenthal, the Punisher, Frank Castle, into an absolute savage man. If you like violence, you will like the Punisher. Period. It's crazy, all the stuff that he does. There's a scene from season 1 that is literally like one of the craziest scenes I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it got my freaking adrenaline flowing. It was crazy. Who else is in this show? Ben Barnes plays Billy Russo. Curtis Hoyle. Yeah, I couldn't really... There's not any notable actors that I saw from the show, but I highly, highly, highly recommend going and watching season 1, episode 1. You will watch it. You could probably get through both season 1 and season 2 in a weekend, I bet. I know you guys have nothing else to do but stay inside and consume content, so why not consume The Punisher? Again, if you like violence, you'll like The Punisher, I promise. Also, he played a role in Daredevil as well. Him, Punisher, and Daredevil are like, I guess, partners in a way. I think at some point their roles in each other's shows, or in each other's storylines, I guess, in the comics. There's comics out there that involve them both, and they did a small crossover on Daredevil for one season, and it was really good. I watched all of Daredevil too, but it is not on this list. Definitely Punisher is better than Daredevil in my opinion. But that is The Punisher, and unfortunately, it's not gonna have a season 3. I really hope they bring it back for Disney Plus. I would definitely get it if that were the case. But I think this was actually a Netflix original. The Punisher was. Actually, I know for a fact it was. Number number 3. The following one is number 2 on my list. So, to summarize, 5 was Walking Dead. 4 was Better Call Saul. 3 is The Punisher. And 2, Stranger Things. Stranger Things, if you have never seen it, was not what I was expecting it to be at all. When I first started hearing about it back in 2016, people were saying it was about a bunch of kids, and I was just like, why is everyone talking about the show? Like, it's about a bunch of kids, being kids, and there's some weird stuff that happens, I guess. And I was just like, I wasn't hopping on the train in the very beginning. I think the show was out for a couple months before I actually watched it. But when I watched it, I was glad that I did. For instance, to tell you how hooked I was on the show, I watched all of season 1 in the span of a week, probably. I watched season 2 within the span of a week. Season 3, I think there's been 3 seasons so far. Maybe there's only been 2. No, there has been 3. I'm almost positive there's been 3. When this most recent season came out, though, I watched it in 2 days. 2 days it took me to watch all of the most recent season of Stranger Things. But to give you a little bit more of a summary, in a small town where everyone knows everyone, a peculiar incident starts a chain of events that leads to the disappearance of a child, which begins to tear at the fabric of an otherwise peaceful community. Dark government agencies and seemingly malevolent supernatural forces converge on the town, while a few of the locals begin to understand that there's more going on that meets the eye. So it is actually set in a town. What is the town called? It's got to be here somewhere. Hawkins, Indiana. That's right, Hawkins, Indiana. And it's actually set in the early 80s. It was actually filmed in Georgia, I believe. The mall here at Georgia. And I know that because my mom always talks about it, because she was like the age of these kids during this exact time period, so it like perfectly syncs up with her timeline, and she loves the show for that reason. Let's see, notable cast. Actually, the most famous person on the show was definitely Winona Ryder. Winona? I feel like I'm saying that wrong. She plays the role of Joyce Byers, the mom. David Harbour plays the role of Jim Hopper. He is starting to gain some traction in Hollywood, I think, from this show. Same with Millie Bobby Brown. She plays 11, who is some could say the main character. And there's another 4 group of smaller kids, and then there's some older kids, and it's really good. It's really good. I would recommend it. It really follows the story of at least season 1. They all really follow different. Each season follows a different kid, kind of. I'd say season 1 follows 11, who is Millie Bobby Brown, and she like escapes a lab and has like these psychic powers, I guess you could say, like supernatural powers. And the whole plot is centered around her and this upside down world. They call it the upside down. I can't remember what they actually end up calling it, but I remember they called it the upside down for like all of season 1. And it's basically like an alternate dimension that is parallel with our dimension, and they go through these like portals, and I don't know, it's really weird, and it's really like sci-fi, but also really good at the same time. I would highly recommend Stranger Things, and honestly, it probably should be number 1 on this list if it wasn't for the fact that number 1 just recently came out with a new season. And I watched it in like 3 days, and it was. But yeah, Stranger Things, 10 out of 10 show. Would highly recommend. So that is number 2. Maybe I'll get it right the first time, eventually. So number 1 just came out with its newest season last Friday, and you guys might already know what it is based off that alone, and that is Ozark. Now, if you are a fan of Breaking Bad and you're a fan of Better Call Saul, if you've seen either of those shows, this show is very comparable, although I think this show might actually end up being more intense than both of those shows. It is very suspenseful. It is about a guy named Marty Bird, who is played by Jason Bateman. And I'll just read you the plot summary. The Birds and their teenage kids, Charlotte and Jonah, are, for all intents and purposes, an ordinary family with ordinary lives, except for the job of Marty, a Chicago financial advisor who also serves as the top money launderer for the second largest drug cartel in Mexico. When things go awry, Marty must uproot his family from the skyscrapers of Chicago and relocate to the lazy lake region of the Missouri Ozarks. So imagine going from Chicago to like redneck city, redneck country of the Ozarks. I don't know. This show was also filmed, I think, in Georgia. There's a lot of shows. Apparently, a lot of these shows. Maybe that's why I like them. The Walking Dead, Stranger Things, and Ozarks were all filmed in Georgia. Who knew, right? Who knew Georgia was such a highly popular place to film, I guess. But no. So instead of there being intense moments, Breaking Bad, they're, making meth. Well, in this show, they're not doing anything like directly illegal. It's all about avoiding like the tax people, the IRS, and just being as secret as possible. And it is quite nuts. Jason Bateman is the director of the film, or of the TV show, and he's also the lead role. He plays Marty Bird. Laura Linney plays Wendy Bird. They have 2 kids, Jonah and Charlotte. There is a family of rednecks that they get involved with called the Langmores. And it's really all about like territory and just basically staying out of trouble, keeping his family safe as long as possible. And it's really good. When the show first starts, it's just him, but as the show progresses, and he adds more and more people to his operations, and I don't know, it's really good. I'd highly recommend. I watched all of season 3 in again probably 3 days, and I've recommended it to all of my friends, and now they're all watching it. Man, such a good show. But that is my number 1. See, I told you I'd get it. Definitely my number 1 recommendation right now. So, to recap. Number 5, The Walking Dead. Number 4, Better Call Saul. Number 3, The Punisher. Number 2, Stranger Things. And number 1, Ozarks. Highly recommend all of these shows, and all of them are still going on except for The Punisher. And all of them have multiple seasons on Netflix that you can sit and watch for days, maybe even weeks. I don't know if there's any of you out there that haven't seen all 5 of these. I just gave you probably weeks worth of content for you to consume. So go out there, watch it. Let me know in the comment section down below which one your favorite is. If you have a favorite out of this list. Again, these were all Netflix shows, so don't roast me if there's, something like, I didn't put Game of Thrones on there, or what else is there? Jack Ryan, I guess, maybe some of you would say. I've never seen that show, but I try to keep it just to Netflix. The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, again, just Netflix, guys, just Netflix. But that's going to conclude this video. I hope you enjoyed my little soft-spoken ranting. I hope everyone is staying safe, staying indoors, staying healthy, and have a good time watching all of these shows. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys later. So, if you're watching this during the day,